Hey builders, welcome to our live stream today. And today we're going to talk about an exciting announcement that we made last week with Anthropic being inside of Snowflake Cortex. Today I will be sharing, I'll be joined by many different people today from Snowflake as well as Anthropic to talk about this integration. Let me go ahead and show you our wonderful announcements. Can we get the blog post up real quick? So if you haven't found out what is happening here at Snowflake with Anthropic, please go ahead and uh, take a look at this blog post to make sure you understand what is happening. So to get right into it, I will go ahead and intro our guests. And for me, your host, James Cha-Earley, a developer advocate here over at Snowflake. So joining me today, I have Harshal, as well as Julian from Snowflake, and then Alex from Anthropic. So I'm going to go ahead and pass around the mic and then have you introduce yourselves.
Hey everyone, thank you for having me. This is Harshal Bimpalkote. I'm a Principal Product Manager with Snowflake. Looking forward to the discussion today.
And to finish the Snowflake side, Julian here. I lead our product marketing for AI, both generative AI and machine learning.
Hey folks, I'm Alex. I lead developer relations at Anthropic. Very excited to be here today.
Fantastic. And thanks, Alex, for joining us. I know you're in a hotel room, so Wi-Fi can be a little spotty, so really appreciate your time. So let's go ahead and dive in. Harshal, what is Cortex AI?
Yeah, so Cortex AI, we launched Cortex AI. This is a suite of integrated features and services so that customers can access industry-leading LLMs through easy-to-use SQL functions and REST APIs. The features offered include fully managed LLM inference, fine-tuning, and task-specific functions. Also, we offer search or RAG for your unstructured data, and the analyst functionality to query your structured data. So with Cortex AI, customers can build generative AI apps alongside their data, all within the secure Snowflake perimeter. And then they can accomplish a range of use cases across text summarization, sentiment analysis, to the development of powerful AI chatbots. And with this unified AI and data platform, it makes it really easy for organizations to go from AI concept to reality within just a few days.
That's fantastic. So the biggest part of our conversation here is Anthropic being part of Snowflake Cortex. Alex, what is Claude 3.5 Sonnet? What's new and what's coming up?
Yeah, so Claude 3.5 Sonnet is a model in our Claude 3.5 family. We originally launched the first version of it in June of last year, so June 2024. We followed that up in October with the newest version of Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which has gains across the board in a variety of different areas, mainly in areas around sort of this agentic performance. So being able to reason through different outcomes and explore things on a longer time horizon. And then also in coding abilities. We're seeing very, very strong improvements in the new Claude 3.5 Sonnet in a variety of coding tasks, everything from generating web apps and applications to doing things like writing SQL queries.
That's fantastic. Julian, how will Snowflake use this in its own products?
Yeah, it's a good question. Maybe we can look at that architecture again when Harsha was going over the platform, right? Cortex at the foundation, we have serverless inference and serverless fine-tuning for a wide range of models. And then we use that to build things on top, right? So for example, Cortex Search, which is our engine for RAG, right? Takes care of embedding, retrieval, that kind of stuff. That uses a Snowflake model to do the embedding, Snowflake Arctic. But for Cortex Analyst, we've been using another set of LLMs to do some of the agentic workflow around, okay, how do you take a question, turn that into a SQL query, then pick the best SQL query and return the results? So we're going to start using the best LLM that's going to be for that, right? There's a lot of great coding capabilities from Anthropic. And so we're going to start embedding Anthropic into our own products like Cortex Analyst. So super exciting. Part of when we bring products to customers, we're also kind of bringing products to ourselves so we can build better products for it. So then we give back to you.
That's great. To kind of like inspire our builders, what kind of common use cases do you see with Claude, Alex?
Yeah, common use cases really range across the board. So we're seeing customers use Claude for things from legal and financial document analysis to some of those coding examples where customers are really going end to end with creating websites and applications from scratch. I'm really amazed by some of the use cases I'm seeing from non-technical people that are using Claude models, people that have never written a single line of code before in their life. All of a sudden, through models like Claude and the new 3.5 Sonnet, are able to actually create full working web applications. And then they go and talk to Claude about how they can host them and how they can actually like share them with other people. And all of a sudden, we now have this like entirely new class of quote unquote programmers being born that are non-technical folks that have ideas, but just haven't been able to actually write the code before in the past to execute on them.
That's great. It sounds like they can get from like an idea to concept to something that's working pretty fast using Claude. Harshal,
Exactly.
how about you? What are you using it for?
Yeah, so like we discussed, customers can integrate Sonnet 3.5 into their SQL workflows and their generative AI applications, all within the secure Snowflake parameter. Yeah, so now with 3.5 and Cortex AI, they can build conversational assistants, conduct large-scale language processing, and overall, we expect Sonnet 3.5 will further enhance how developers can build ad hoc analytics, agents, extract answers from documents and from knowledge bases, and really build generative AI applications.
That's very cool. How about you, Julian? How are you using it?
Yeah, I think the first question is like, I want to ask the people that are watching this live stream, how are they using it? So drop comments and stuff like that. We want to hear how you're doing, or even how you were thinking about using it. Now, on my end, mine is a little bit of a combination of what Alex and Harsha mentioned. So, right, I'm in marketing. I don't spend a lot of time coding, but I spend a lot of time thinking about code that we show to developers. So it helps me with two things. One is a lot of times I'm doing data analytics and I'm like, oh, I wish I could do this in a Python library, but I don't spend a lot of time coding in Python to remember all the syntax and things that I could use. So that tends to be a really good use case for me. And then the second thing is in marketing, you have to think a ton about who is going to get the message. And so I always like to ask Anthropic, give me this version of this text for an executive and for a developer. And so then I always kind of get a little bit of a brainstorming buddy that I can do work with without having to go and bother someone on Slack of like, hey, you're a developer. Would you like this one more or this one more? So that part of a kind of like a assistant for everything is pretty useful.
So let's kind of take a look at that workflow. If I could get my screen shared, please. So one way you, the builders, can utilize Claude right now is the Cortex Playground. So you can go in, hop in, and start talking to Claude. So what we have here is the playground itself. And Alex, what is a good question I can ask Claude?
Oh man, well, we could ask it things across the board. Let's see, what sort of genre are we wanting to go down here?
We talked a lot about providing code for folks who necessarily might not be technical. Let's dive into that. Like, let's think of a concept.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little hard because right now we won't be able to actually go run the code and see. Usually when I'm showing people an example of explaining the foundations of code and what it looks like and how the models can help, I just have Claude write me a simple HTML site for its own personal website. So I say like, hey, Claude, can you make like a fun 90s style themed website for yourself? And then Claude will actually output a HTML file. And then if you were, of course, on your computer, you could just copy paste that, open a .html file, and then click on it, and it'll pop up in your browser, and the full website will be there. So that's a very fun, easy way, usually, to get into this. And you'll see Claude likes to put a little bit of personality on it as well, and it'll throw in like these emojis and a little bit of flair to it too.
Oh, that's awesome. It's really going through and building everything out like a guest book and everything. That's very 90s right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So it's very thorough. Then, you can follow this up with even more questions. And if you don't like something, you can ask it like, hey, change this, or let's adjust the wording or the color here. And eventually you can just build out your own simple site just through a couple back and forth questions.
That's fantastic. I like how it provides some suggestions as well to make it a little bit more leaned into the whole 90s style as well. So that's great. And for us over here at Snowflake, the example I want to show you on how we used it, or I used it, is to be able to create a workflow for folks. So here we have the notebook that you can go ahead and grab yourself and take a look at along with our quick start. But essentially what this does for us is utilizes the multiple functions that Snowflake provides within Cortex to be able to take documents and then extract learnings from it and then provide a really nice UI with Streamlit and utilize Claude to be able to ask it questions. So you could go ahead and take a look at this, how we built it, utilizing Cortex Search Service, as well as many other things. But the main thing I want to show all of you is the example itself of it's utilizing Anthropic. So the one thing we have to do is make sure we have the right model. So let's go ahead and do that. Yep, 3.5 Sonnet. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in and talk to our scrolling too fast. It doesn't like
Yeah, I
it.
think as you're debugging that, I think something for the viewers, if you didn't catch this, switching models in Cortex is just a variable change. You don't have to set up any integrations, right? Because it's all running in Snowflake. Everything's kind of made easy for you to go try that serverless experience. So switch that to any model. If you're already using Cortex with another model but want to try Claude, just switch that variable name and you'll be able to run that same prompt without having to run any integrations.
Thanks for pointing that out, Julian. Yeah, it was very simple to swap out, and here we go. I'm going to ask it a question about ski equipment. So what we did here was create a RAG chatbot. Essentially, it did a lot of processing around documents about ski equipment. So here I ask it, what kind of ski equipment can I? What do I need to consider in terms of buying ski equipment? So it will tell me about like the ski boots, what to consider there, as well as other specifications as you can consider while buying my ski equipment itself. So this is kind of a look of what we have in terms of the notebook, in terms of utilizing Anthropic across the board. We'll drop a link to the quick start so that way you can jump in and take a look at it yourself and get started there.
Yeah, and I think one of the questions that came in is how is Cortex or like how is Anthropic using the data? And maybe Harshil is for you. By Anthropic being in Snowflake, what does it mean between the relationship between data and AI?
Yeah, so with Anthropic and Cortex AI, customers can be assured that we provide everything within the secure Snowflake perimeter, that their data is used exclusively for the purposes of their use case, and that they can conduct the end-to-end, that they can create the end-to-end application entirely using the REST APIs and the complete function.
Yeah, and I think the one of the things that are important to highlight is one, it's not learning from your data. None of the data is being sent to Anthropic, right? It's all staying within that secure environment. So no training is happening in your data. You can ask any question to Anthropic. It will not learn from that inside Snowflake. Yeah, another question, and I don't know how much coding you've done for data engineering, Alex, but any examples of how Claude can help data engineers?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the main things is that I'm seeing, well, two main use cases. One is like, of course, helping with like SQL queries and really complicated things where you have a lot of tables and you're trying to get the right information. Being able to spin up simple queries and scripts from Claude for stuff like that. It has been a huge boon to a lot of our data engineers and analysts that I'm seeing. Also creating visualizations, pipelines, customized metrics and displays. I think there's a future here in which like the no code solutions are replaced by models that can just like generate the custom code. And for data engineers, this is all of a sudden a huge boon, because now you can represent your data in a variety of different ways by using the models and their coding abilities. So we're seeing Claude being able to like produce graphs and custom interfaces and dashboards, which are very, very interesting. I think very helpful in this domain.
We're looking for more questions, so please feel free to add them. I think maybe for Harshal, what's the easiest way to get started? And can I use this in the free trial?
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest way to get started, I'd say, is in your SQL code, use the complete function. This is just to double click. The complete function is within the Snowflake Cortex schema, and you can specify the model name, the Claude 3.3-5-Sonnet, your prompt, and the input, and that's pretty much it. Once you execute this function, in response, you'll get the inference output from Claude Sonnet. That's the fastest way to get started. You can also use it via APIs in your client applications. Yeah, that's maybe step one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I think another question that just came in, or actually not a question, it's a comment, is that Johannes thinks this is awesome for creating descriptions and document code for those of you that are lazy, right? So I think kind of building up on what Alex said is like, we think of data engineering maybe just like writing the code that does the transformations, but there's so much around the day-to-day job that you have to do that you can now kind of have this assistant that you could outsource some of that. And again, right, anything that you say and might be proprietary, it's not going to learn from that, and it's all going to be inside your Snowflake account. So your admin will be able to keep control of cost if that's something that I know ends up becoming a bigger thing as you start having a lot of users using some of these LLMs. So good for developers, good for the managers of the developers as well to have inside the Snowflake platform. Maybe a question for you, Alex, or even James. Maybe you haven't answered any questions. James, you've been playing around with it. What's been some of the favorite things you've gotten to do with Claude on Cortex so far?
Yeah, I think it's been described, but like the ease of use of it. Like Harshal mentioned, it's a simple function across the board. And you saw it here live. I'm able to easily swap to what models I want to use and see what kind of outputs I get from different models themselves. So it's really nice to be able to do that, as well as Anthropic being such a frontier model. I know I can trust some of the answers I get from it and really push it to the edge in terms of what it can do.
Yeah, maybe just to quickly add, Julian, customers can also get started with the Playground. So the Claude 3.5 Sonnet is available on a Snow site within Cortex, and you can try out, like was just mentioned, you can try out different prompts, compare with different models. All of that can happen on the Playground.
Yeah, James, can you pop your screen again where you had the Playground open? I think it'll be good to flash that again, since it's so new inside Snowflake. I think many people haven't seen this before.
Yeah, just to make sure everyone knows how to navigate to it, I'm going to go back to home. So AIML, right here, Cortex Playground. And then there you go. And we have many other different models, but definitely Claude is one of our top ones right now.
Yeah, I think a few of the other cool features are the settings that you can have on the right side. One of the things is if you want to put safeguards, right? Cortex Guard has safety guardrails that you can enable with an easy click. But then the even cooler thing is you can do compare mode, and maybe if you can flash that real quick. So if you're already using a model and now you want to see, hey, how would this question compare to using Claude? Then you can easily do that inside the Playground as well. So it's an easy way to experiment, evaluate, and get started. before jumping into that SQL function or using the REST API to use from your application. So we have someone that said that the playground is not showing up in Sydney. Harshal.
Yeah, so we should follow up on this one. Please reach out to us.
Yeah, so follow up. One of the things is Playground has been enabled on Snowflake accounts, unless, of course, not sure if admins can block it. So your admin could prevent this from being enabled. So first, make sure you check with your admin that it has not blocked it, and then if not, please reach out to us.
Yeah, and maybe I can add there, Julian. The Claude 3.5 Sonnet is available in AWS US East, US West 2 currently, and if you're not in that region, perhaps you're accessing from Sydney, for example, you'd use cross-region inference. This is a separate feature within Cortex AI where you enable a parameter and specify the regions that you want to use the models from. And in this case, you'd specify it as AWS _US. And with that setting, you should be able to easily access from other regions.
That is super useful. So I'm going to drop in the link to cross-region from the documentation. So if you are not available, or if your account is currently not running on US West, then you can do that, and you'll be able to try this model pretty quickly. There's someone saying that this is in private preview. When will it be in public preview? I think Harshal, something seems.
This is already generally available. So we launched it in GA last week, and you should be able to access it as a GA capability.
Yeah, so again, this is GA, so ready for production. Shouldn't be in preview. The only thing that's in preview right now is that chat UI for the evaluations. So if you are using Cortex Playground, that is still in preview. Awesome. Hearing that, oh man, I'm going to say this name wrong. So Olu is going to try cross-region inference. Let us know how that goes. Well, I think that's all the questions that we have. James, where can people learn more? What are you've been building a lot of resources for developers. What are some of the things that developers should be checking out after this?
Yeah, thanks for that. I think the great place to start for everyone is the quick start itself. Let me drop the link in our comment section, so that way everyone can follow up on that. So go ahead and go there and follow the quick starts, so that way you can quickly get started in terms of using Anthropic across your projects. And that's a great place to start. All right.
Maybe, last words from anyone. Alex, thanks for joining us today and joining the Snowflake team on this LinkedIn Live.
Yeah, really appreciate
Thank
everyone.
you. Yeah, thank you for having me.
And thanks again, Alex. We made it through the chaoticness of the hotel Wi-Fi, so that's good. And thanks for Harshal and Julian for being here
I've been cutting in and out here.
Yeah, it's always a struggle. Yeah, and thanks for our builders. Thanks for joining us in our LinkedIn Live, and please follow along for other new things coming along.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, folks.
See you guys.